Son, I don't know how to tell you this, but the eShop is closing soon. A lot of games are going to be missed, so that's why today I'm bringing you the best 3DS games and homebrew for your 3DS current year. This 3DS here, lended to me by a really nice guy, Majin Shinza. This thing's seen conflict, and I can tell because it's covered in scratches and it has a pink stylus inside of it. However, despite all these battle-damaged parts, it's still good enough for me. That's right. It's hard to believe we haven't talked about this one yet, but Pets Family is an incredible sequel to the Pets games. This intellectual property, I gotta tell you, it's surprising. I almost picked French, but you actually start this game by violently throwing a hamster out of its wheel. Out of all the pets you could possibly own, I'm not really sure why you'd pick a hamster. Maybe it's because it's easily accessible to you. However, you should know that hamsters are little dickheads. They can cannibalize each other if you change their diet, so if one day you want to just get creative and decide to feed them, one more leaf of lettuce, they might kill their partner, let's be honest. Like any other good hamster you might bring home, it has 2 meters. One I don't know what it's for, and another is a bowling meter. And just like that, bitch ass wanted to play. Now, me not understanding really what hamsters do aside from eat each other occasionally, I was struggling to figure out what the hell this thing wanted me to do. Love and care is all good, but have you ever just tried to abandon your hamster in a large house? I tried, but the game just would not let me immigrate to somewhere else. One of the more surprising aspects of Pets Family hamsters is that you can actually violently assault your hamster directly with a broom. In fact, I think this is one of the better parts of bowling in my mind. You see, you push it about 3 feet, and then it crawls 7 feet to hit some pins, and then it just sort of fucking Sonic the Hedgehog's itself away. And, I'm not really quite sure. It didn't build up any fucking momentum. I don't really know what it's doing. What the fuck does it want me to do? This is a piece of shit. Developed by Bit Media, the guys we all know, My Australian Farm really hits the nail on the head in terms of Australian farm simulators and them being yours. I started by naming myself some obscene words. This is the way all my games usually go. I was greeted by a man who was probably in front of me, but whose eyes were miles away. He told me all about the farm and how it's a piece of shit. This man began to tell me all about tutorials of Australia, like how to handle 9-foot-tall spiders and how they lost an emu war. Along the way, I started buying up way too many animals, although my farm, being a desert, was incapable of supporting life. You can buy approximately 9 or so different animals, ranging from kangaroos to sheep and alligators in the middle of the desert, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Bruce the Outback Ranger continued to incessantly tell me about how I'm doing things wrong, but I told him I didn't give a shit. Thanks, Bruce. God damn, being an animal owner is really stressful, especially when you can barely manage the UI. I gotta tell ya, this is either very smart UI and I'm dumb, or I'm dumb and this is also dumb. You may think that sweeping the desert in Australia wouldn't do much, and you'd be right. DS online connections allowed you to trade your crocodile, which is exactly the same, for another man's exactly the same crocodile, and I thought, God damn, this is genius. Developed by Rovio and published by Activision, the guys who just cannot make an intro that can be skipped. Angry Birds was kind of an indie hit, 280 million euros, which I'm not totally sure how much that is in dollaronis, but it must have been a lot. If you weren't a complete fetus in 2008, then you might remember the first Angry Birds taking the world by storm. There's a reason that it was so successful, because it was such a fun novelty for a new, fresh piece of technology that a lot of consumers had finally got their hands on. Now, I didn't play Angry Birds. However, I do think I watched a lot of YouTube, and I watched one particular thing. It was that comedian with the puppets, who I would argue now is probably the most unfunny man on the planet. Oh wow, full motion cinematics? Well, I'm gonna skip that because I don't really care about the plot or the story of Angry Birds. I prefer to make it up in my head. I like to think I'm committing something against the Geneva Convention when I do this. Can you believe Angry Birds Star Wars was $45 when it came out on Xbox 360? Who the fuck bought Angry Birds for $50? Leave in the comments below if you were gifted or bought Angry Birds for $45 12 years ago. I'm sure that investment has aged quite well. Nintendo Life gave this game a 6.2 out of 10 back in the day. And you know, I kind of believe them. That whimpering success led to a wonderful movie franchise that I don't think we're going to be forgetting for a long time.
Gentlemen, very nice to see you and to almost you. Probably the nicest part of it is not getting to you, you know, in some weird way.
That's right, the full Nutshack story is here on 3DS. Following the story of two cousins, Jack and Phil, from two very different worlds, they now live in a really bad cartoon. While IMDb is technically loaded with tons of very bad reviews for the Nutshack, I can tell you that a couple of very select reviews tend to view this thing in a more positive light. You know what they say, for every Nutshack hater, there's approximately a third of a Nutshack lover out there. And for that 0.3% of a person out there, well, this app is for you. Wow, I can't believe it. That really was 3DS game, wasn't it, man? I've been saying it for the better part of a year and a half, but the eShop really is closing soon, and you're going to lose your chance for stuff like Angry Birds Trilogy. You're not going to have chances at something like that ever again. Ever in history will there ever be a chance at owning an Australian farm. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. I hope your house is clean, your animals are safe, and you've cracked open a pristine bottle of Mr. Pibb from September.
Bye.
I don't have time to drink water. I'm a businessman. Zoom into the dick.
I'll be sleeping in the bathroom tonight. No more 42-inch cheese pizza, please. I'm begging you upon my knees. Lesson learned, now I can see one slice is good enough for me.